Quokka unnakuk tamak tamaktia. Mai matumi unnakumia. Kuya nakfasa tamaktiwi taluti yuyagiluti. Huinga mija goyuhtuna katsadun sumarksana. Kaluyan kingun ng kata ang ayok kasaka kang rilingon ko ka anguya luklu paltanan ko Martina Janaklu. A very wonderful morning to all of you. It's very good to see a lot of young people and good to see all of you here this morning. My name is Mizak in Yupik. My name is Mark John in English. My parents are Paul and Martina John from Tuksuk Bay. That's where I grew up. This morning, I'll have Lorraine introduce herself and we'll start our talk.
Hello. Good morning. Huinga yuhtune kuhpaugo tuyurirmiungunga. Angayoka kadan and Emanana look senior. Maikpak tuyurirmi jaliwi talaktuk. Mamtrilrni huinga LKSD ni jali lakto markak jalishkut kluku. Guyana, thank you for allowing us to be here. My name is Lorraine Masterman. I'm from Togiak, Alaska. My parents are Dan and Emma Nanaluk Sr. from Togiak, and they're currently living there today. I live and work in Bethel at the Lower Kuskokwim School District, and we're partnered with Jalista Education and Culture. Guyana, thank you.
In 1997, I was asked to see if I can make Jalista Elders Council a viable organization. And at that time, the elders had a number of mission statements in the organization. The two that they wanted to pursue were, one was to document traditional knowledge, and the other was to pass on the traditional knowledge to the youth and also continue traditional activities such as ceremonies and dances. So we started during that time and we started to look for funding. So since 1998, we've been documenting traditional knowledge from the Jalista region. A few years ago, Jalista Elders Council and Jalista Scholarship Fund, Jalista Heritage Foundation, merged and became Jalista Education and Culture. And we're continuing the documentation of our culture. And 3 years ago, we started partnering with Lower Kuskokwim School District to make curriculum. There was, from the beginning, there was concern from the elders that our traditional knowledge, our cultural values weren't being taught as much as they used to be. But the push from Andrew Guy, who is the president of Jalista Corporation, really pushed forward the effort to do something about that. And we started talking about curriculum. Jalista Education and Culture and Lower Kuskokwim School District started working together, and Ria, who is the president of Jalista Education and Culture, and Gail Miller from LKSD started doing the planning and made an application to A&E to do curriculum and also have health classes that will teach 7th, 8th, 9th, and high school. Cultural values, Yuuyaraq, which is mainly Yuuyaraq, and I'll read what we have down as definition of Yuuyaraq. Yuuyaraq is a way of being in the Yupiaq culture. Yuuyaraq is a set of well-defined values, rules, and roles to live by in order to live a full and fruitful life, respect always given to oneself, others, nature with all it brings. Yuuyaraq teaches us how to live from infancy to becoming an elder, and how we are to relate to one another and our environment as we go through life. Yuuyaraq is a code for living, which has a goal for becoming a real human being, a Yupik. So we've been working with that, and we've come to a point where we have curriculum now, and it's being they're being piloted in a few of the LKSD schools, and once they're all done, it'll be available to other school districts. I'll turn it over to Lorraine.
Oriana. So once the Alaska Native Education Grant was approved, one of the first things that happened was our steering committee met. And they met in October 30th of 2015. So we're coming up on 2 years since that first meeting. And our steering committee was made up of Yupik elders, people from Jalista Education and Culture were there. We had a cultural anthropologist. Educators were represented, as well as us curriculum writers. The list of topics that they came up with, and there's a picture of it up there, but it was a long list, and it was really diverse. There were topics such as respect and subsistence, which were very prominent. Those two came up quite a bit in the list. But there were also other topics like the roles of men and women. So the ways that a man should behave and the ways that a woman should behave and how they should behave with each other. There are also things like how young people should behave with one another and what they should do in cases of difficult situations. There were also topics like compassion and empathy and sharing. One of my favorites, though, I think, was probably the art of giving and receiving. And when we started writing the lessons for that, it really led to the truth behind the Yupik saying that goes, Yum umyoratuknyuk, and basically that translates into a person's mind is powerful. And as a matter of fact, that particular Yupik belief is present in all three of the courses that we've written so far, and it'll be present in the health courses that we're writing this semester. Once the list was done, the next task was to divide the topics among the 3 grades. So we had to take the list and really ask ourselves, is this appropriate for 7th grade? Is this appropriate for 8th grade? And what's appropriate for high school students? And we did that according to developmental suitability. There are some considerations that you have to take for middle school students, and they're different for high school. Once that was done, taking this list of 60-some topics, the search for content material began. And we were fortunate to have partnered with Jalista Education and Culture, because as Mark said, they've been doing this work of gathering elder information and elder knowledge for decades. And they had quite a library of books that we could choose from. One of the more prominent ones that we used was Wise Words of the Yupik People and Yupit Kanruyutait. If you haven't read those 2 books, I highly encourage you to read them. So we wrote the 7th grade Yuuyaraq course. We did the pilot in January of 2016. We identified 10 LKSD teachers from 10 different sites, and they came in on their vacation time in January, and they chose to be trained on this curriculum. And then they piloted that course over the spring semester. So that was the first course that we piloted. Next came 8th grade. 9 out of the 10 teachers that piloted 7th also did 8th, and they piloted the 8th grade course in the fall of 2016. Currently, we are piloting high school Yuuyaraq, and a lot of the same group of teachers that came in for the 7th and 8th grade pilots are doing that right now. Now, the course material that we produced for this project, we have a teacher binder for all 3 courses, and they're all tied to state standards, and it wasn't very difficult to tie them to cultural and social studies standards, and those are the 2 that are assessed in our courses. But there are a lot of language arts activities that the students do. They read and they reread, and they actually do a lot of writing to get to the core of what the content is. The teacher binder also has the unit and lesson plans and the authentic assessments, as well as instructional strategies to support the teachers. All 3 courses last a single semester. In 7th and 8th grade, we have 4 units with 4 lessons apiece. In the high school, we have 3 units with 5 lessons. And every final lesson in each of the units is an authentic assessment where students are expected to take what they've learned and actually do something with it. So when they're learning about compassion, the things that they've learned throughout the course of that unit, they're expected to do something with it. The lessons also last 5 days, and this follows the dual language immersion format that's adopted and used throughout LKSD. We also have student readers. We have a couple of copies up here. Each student is given one of these, so it's theirs to keep. And they're very short, mostly 2-page readings, but what they do is they reread the content throughout the week, because the material is chosen for a specific reason and a specific purpose, and it takes several readings for students to really internalize the information. A majority of the readings are taken from the wise words of the Yupik people, and that's the red book in the picture up there. Vocabulary exercises are written into the lesson plans based on the readings, and like I said, the students read the content several times. Series of questions are asked of the students, and they begin from very low-level cognitive kind of just make sure that you get what you're reading, to very deep, higher-level thinking questions. And then a majority of the lessons end the day with a reflective journal writing, so students are asked to just kind of take a moment and think about the readings, the conversations that they've had with each other, the questions that have been asked, and really think to themselves, how is this information applicable in my own life? I think one of the most fulfilling parts of this project has been the elder interviews. So almost every lesson in 7th and 8th grade has an elder interview attached to it, and they're very short, about 3 to 5 minutes long. The elders speak in Yupik, and they speak from their own experiences and from their own, just from their own selves. And it's been really fulfilling to kind of sit down and hear these elders speak so freely, to give this information so freely of themselves. The questions that we asked them are, some of them were general, kind of broad questions, but we also asked them very specific questions. But the information that they gave was always, always good. A lot of the feedback that we've gotten from teachers is positive. They usually say that they wish they had this in high school, And I say that myself as a part of the curriculum writing team, because it's given me a really deeper, bigger understanding of what makes me a Yupik person. So, thank you.
I'd like to reiterate the fact that there's been a lot of response from the teachers and the students and those that just look at what we have there. They've expressed that they wished, the ones that graduated from high school, that they wish they had them when they were in school. And the teachers are so grateful that material that they try to bring in from here and there, and a few elders that come in, is all there. They have more than what they've ever had. So they have an opportunity to bring to the students what they would like to teach. And like Lorraine mentioned, there's interviews with elders. Tomorrow we're going to be interviewing elders from our region for the health classes, and it's just a continuation of gathering material that we can pass on to our elders. We need to pass on what we know. We have a beautiful culture. We have good ways of being. Our cultures are beautiful, and our teachings teach us to be good human beings. So I encourage all of you that have heard good teachings to pass them on to your children, your grandchildren, to other children. We have good teachings that we can fall back on as we go through life. A lot of what our elders teach are ways of being that makes us healthy. So we're very proud of what we're doing, and if you can utilize what we have in the different school districts, we'll be very happy to share them with you. So yan.